Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. You know, there's a part of me that wishes I had never encountered Palladium books and their version of Rifts, because I really wish I could like these Savage Worlds versions of Rifts more. But unfortunately, because I have spent so much time, like 29 years or so, playing or reading or writing adventures for Rifts, that unfortunately, despite being well written and having really excellent art and just an overall really high production quality, the Savage World Rifts books just seem like, travel brochures. This book right here, Arcana and Mysticism, it has highlights from at least 6, maybe 7 individual original Rifts World books. I mean, let's see, obviously Federation of Magic and Scyscape. It's got tidbits from both New West and Spirit West, a little bit from Rifts Canada, Juicer Uprising, probably something else I'm not thinking of. The collection of character classes that it presents in this it's an odd little mixture. Only a couple of the Native American classes, dragon juicers for some reason, Dwemer's, Battle Magus is one of their Mars character classes, so they'd start off at a higher level. And, it didn't, obviously, if you're going to be cramming that many world books worth of stuff into one tome that's just thin, obviously you're not going to carry all the information over that you had in the Palladium versions. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. At times, Palladium books can be a little long-winded here and there, where you kind of start getting lost too much in the bushes and forget that, people who run role-playing games need relatively broad strokes about what's going on in the setting, and they don't need to know what every last dude's had for breakfast for the last 10 years. That being said, though, these books could have held a lot more information on the places they do touch upon, but they are full of pre-published little adventure scenarios and campaign outlines. Now, there is a place in the world for published adventure modules. I tend to believe they should be in their own little tiny books. As my style of game master, I tend to try to come up with my own ideas for the kind of stories and adventures I want to run in these settings. And so, it doesn't really matter. They might be fun adventures, but they're a waste of space for me, and that's page upon page, probably somewhere more like a quarter of the book, if not more, is taken up by pre-written adventure scenarios. And in a way, that's kind of a critique of Savage Rifts in and of itself, because it's all been reframed around this Tomorrow Legion thing, which is also way too much leading you by the hand. I get that there is a demographic of game master out there who likes having little adventure seeds in the books for them to mine, especially if you're a younger game master or you're brand new to the setting. But not every book out there should be written like that, and I'd rather see them put out a separate volume of just a bunch of cool adventures than to them sprinkle them into the text like they do in the books of theirs I've looked through. I don't really see why, Empires of Humanity or Blood and Banes is going to be significantly different in structure from this one. Now, all that negative stuff out of the way, I do approve overall of the highlights they chose to focus in on. There is a way that this version of Rifts kind of refocuses everything in the North American continent better. Some things that really should have had a lot more attention are just kind of mentioned inside, and in the background of one random DB description in World Book 30. Whereas well, that's the entire state of Arkansas. Maybe we should know more about it. That kind of stuff. There's questions. It certainly brings Nick Slaw back into the forefront of major threats to Earth, because there is some inkling of information on Calgary and the Kingdom of Monsters. I'm how much is that gonna bring in the Minion War into Savage Rifts, and do they even want to be involved with doing that kind of world-ending apocalyptic storyline? At the time that it all came out was well before the current boom in role-playing games had come around. And so in many ways, I felt like the Minion Wars was supposed to kind of be like Kevin Siembia having a chance to write the epitaph for Rifts by sending it out in a big blaze of glory kind of thing. And then the role-playing game industry didn't die, and Palladium Books is still chugging along, and so they still have to keep putting out products. You know, switching it over to the people at Savage Worlds to put together was a chance for them to kind of clean up the setting and, you know, package it with more approachable, you know, easier to use rules for players, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, maybe clean up some of the rough edges because, you know, since they're not trying to be so detailed, they don't necessarily have to get into some of the nitty-gritty things that are and have been a little controversial with Rifts in the past with some people. I don't know, I wish, like, I didn't already have so much awareness of the other version of Rifts. It makes it really hard to judge these. I don't know. I was, you know, hoping to, like, continue to make little reviews of the other Savage Rifts books, but, like, you know, after, like, actually spending some time to really, like, thumb through this motherfucker, I don't really know if I want to keep doing that. I prefer doing videos about things I like, kind of a thing. You know, if it's something that I feel a little bit too negative about, I don't know. That's just not necessarily the brand I'm aiming for. I mean, stuff I don't like, why would I spend minutes upon minutes talking about it? I want you to be pumped up about the games that I, you know, have decided to promote for my own purposes on here. So, I don't know. It's like, yes, for, you know, if I was new to Rifts, and this is my entire exposure to Rifts, maybe having all the adventure outlines would be good. But at the same time, I'm not really sure for, like, modern gamers if this is a good starting place kind of game. Is this the kind of, you know, game setting that a first-time game master nowadays is going to want to run? I don't know. Like I say, like, too much foreknowledge makes it kind of hard to really judge this thing accurately as a product for entry-level people. As an established Rifts person, I mean, if you already have all the rule books, there's little need for this unless you're just really, really sick of Palladium's rule system. And if you were that sick of Palladium's rule system, why have you been buying all the books these years? Maybe it makes it more approachable for people who might have given it Rifts a chance, but, you know, felt like the 2-hour-long character creation, you know, system was maybe a little too abusive and they weren't interested in it. I don't know. Is it all still whatever these weird personal issues some people have with Palladium books itself, carrying back to, like, what, the mid-2000s, if not, or late 90s and all that? Like, I don't get it. I'm not really sure who this is for. But I said I was going to make a video about it, so there's my video on Rifts, Arcana, and Mysticism for Savage Worlds. Tell me in the comments, you know, that I'm wrong about everything I just said. Hit like and subscribe. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be having my very first role-playing game called Orc and Bone out eventually sometime before the end of this year, hopefully, as a playtest edition. Largely because I don't feel like I've got enough of a following built up yet to, like, jump into trying to do a proper Kickstarter. So we're going to have a real simple version of the game come out just to kind of start building up some word of mouth amongst actual game masters who decide to, like, pick it up and check it out. It's going to have a decent price point, and it's going to have, like, you know, 100 pages of solid campaign setting and info and character options, but there's not going to be much in the way of, you know, like, art filler and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not going to be all polished like a modern AD&D book. It's more going to be like what you might remember from old first edition books. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Hit me up on Twitter @PartySkills. And remember to stay waspinated.